Before we begin, thank you very much to TJ-Sized Convoy for joining the Patreon campaign. Now, we have had one that's very similar to that. So careful, you might be repeating sizes. But I do appreciate it. Thank you very much for the contribution. Thank you very much. So, a quick little shout here. I'm gonna give you a couple of like cheap plugs. I apologize, but don't worry, they're worth it. So, number one, speaking of the Patreon, if you are a $5 and up Patreon member, you now have access to 3 more episodes of TJTV from the archives. So right now, the new ones up are going to be the Darkstalkers review, the Conan the Adventurer review, and one of the more popular ones, the Tattooed Teenage Alien Fighters from Beverly Hills, if you want to see what that mess was all about. So sign up if you want access to those, and at the beginning of next month, we'll be doing 3 more as well. I've got a few other like freebie things, little extra things I'm going to be throwing in here on the Patreon. But also, today we are going to be discussing the brand new fan stream that showed off all the new Transformer goodies and talked about them in a little bit more detail. We've talked about a lot of this before, but it's worth going over again. It's always worth talking the fan streams because, you know, it provides a little bit more insight. You get to see what they actually look like in physical form, not just, you know, pre-rendered stuff. And also you get a little tidbits that we get to discuss, and one in particular that's very important. But all of this stuff is up for pre-order right now. In the link, in the description, the link below, you will find a link for Entertainment Earth. If you want to support the channel and still get your toys, then please use that link to pre-order all the new stuff from Age of the Primes. Appreciate it greatly. Helps out the channel, and you still get your stuff. And $80 and over gets you free shipping. And this wave will absolutely do that. So, that all said, all the cheap plugs out of the way, let us discuss what is revealed on the fan streams. So, starting off with something of a second run figure, we are getting that Cliffjumper from the multi-pack again. No big surprise there, and that's perfectly fine. That's actually a really good toy. It's a really good take on Cliffjumper. So, great to see that the people who didn't want to drop the money for the 4-pack are now going to just be able to have it. That's great. Mark did say, and I think you said this multiple times, but it's reconfirming, he really wants to retool this one into Zombie Cliffjumper, and I get the feeling he's going to get to do that eventually. Frankly, if they had the right toys, they could do an entire like zombie run of Transformers, and it would be really, really cool. We've had so many run of dead Transformers. We've had very few undead Transformers. Cliffjumper would be, I don't know, what, the second, including his previous toys? The question is which one, because we've had various levels of zombie Cliffjumper. I assume show accurate, but there's also a Dark Energon purple one that's also looking pretty cool. I wouldn't mind either, to be honest. So great for the people who missed out on the first time. Really, really good figure in itself. Moving on to that, we got to look at Smokescreen. Now, this one actually did reveal a few extra details that we didn't have before. One being that both forearms do have the built-in cannons that flip out. That's a really cool touch. They were going for the generation style look. They did confirm that, like, going into their, like, modern generations universe does come with a little bit of a form change. So they do acknowledge that it's not completely accurate to how the character looked before. The more and more I look at this toy, the more it kind of dawns on me that we are heading for a potential Prime knockout retool. Like, he has a little bit of that form to him where I could absolutely see them taking another crack at that design, since the first one was not well received. So be on the lookout for that. I think that might be why this particular version of Smokescreen is not entirely accurate. There's going to be things they'll have to remodel for that. They'll have to figure out how to get the doors on the arms, for instance, but they're probably got that in mind. But like how the torso's arranged and where that like panel is that's formed from the top of the car, top of the hood, that does remind me a lot of Knockout. So that might be the direction to go in. The legs kind of give me that vibe as well. They did confirm that the doors do actually open in vehicle mode, and they are the. I don't like the terminology, but they're the doors that hinge upward, not gull wing doors, but like the same hinge point as normal doors, but it just goes forward. I don't know, it's hard to describe, but they did show that yeah, the doors work like that in vehicle mode, which is kind of neat. Which does mean in this mode they have a lot more range to get them out of the way if you want to maneuver them somewhere. Moving on from that one, we have a look at one of the few mini bots that are missing, Powerglide. So looking at this one in person, I do think the gray is a little bit too dark on Powerglide. And that's probably just me remembering the toy as much. I don't remember the. Let me see if I'm getting this wrong, because something in my head said natural power, like cartoon accurate Powerglide was not that. I'm just confirming just so no one calls me out for it in the comments section. We're not judging on that one. Yeah, like in the show, it's a lot brighter color than that. Like that's weirdly dark. I'm not crazy on that. Okay, that wasn't just me. That wasn't just my head going nuts. Yeah, they made him really dark gray for some reason. Like in that shot, it looks fine. Like in that shot, it looks fine. Like there's nothing weird or anything about how Powerglide looks in this shot. You know, this is kind of what I would like. I'm assuming this is like a first run that they got, and this is more the adjusted colors of what it will look like at retail. I do love the fact that it comes with a mask from Hoist Goes Hollywood. We've seen that accessory at Masterpiece class for Sunstreaker and Trax, but we've never actually gotten it on just a normal sized Transformer before, which now kind of makes me stare at like Sunstreaker and Trax toys going, well, where was yours? You know, we have an 86 Sunstreaker listed, and we kind of wonder, like, why are you just rerunning that toy again? We had plenty of chances to get it. If they throw that mask in, I'm buying it again. I'm just saying. I think funniest of all is that they actually mounted the mask onto his gun. His gun actually has a spot for the mask to attach. And apparently the attachments method on this is actually pretty cool, according to them. So yeah, it's a really cool accessory. I like how the mini bots tend to come with fun, weird accessories. It kind of makes them a little bit more intriguing and different, given that they're usually a little bit smaller than your standard deluxe. So really looking forward to Powerglide. Really always liked him as a design. So really, really cool to see. So the animated Ratchet, they do confirm they've used this mold a bunch as both Hoist and Trailbreaker in their various repaints. They tried very hard to think of what they named the red repaint. Lift Ticket. You called him Lift Ticket. It's a silly name. But the toy itself looks good. The mold does work well for animated Ratchet, especially like a G1ified, a Generationsified one. So that'll work well with your Optimus, your Bumblebee, etc. Your Prowl as well. Just leaves Bulkhead. It just needs some kind of like Generationified Bulkhead. No, I don't count the one that started Legacy. Do not count the Legacy mold. The neat thing on this toy is that it's already a large-ish deluxe just because of the nature of the design, but they incorporated a lot of extra stuff. So all of his tools are included as extra accessories that mount on the backpack. That's great. I don't like that they're in red, but I mean, I'll take them however I can get them. And then they also included his magnetic weapons as well. So that's a lot of accessory to go with this Ratchet. That's already a pretty good deluxe and pretty sizable deluxe. Like this is gonna be like a good this is gonna be good value package. It's hard to say that with the new price point, but I feel like this is gonna be the toy that comes the closest to feeling worth that deluxe price. If that makes any sense whatsoever. I still stare at this toy and scream to the heavens like, this is where I wanted you to retool Trailbreaker with the cut off kibble behind his arm. Why didn't you do that? Why did he still have the same big hunks of plastic hanging down from his arms that Hoist has? It's accurate for Hoist, not accurate for Trailbreaker. I just want my boy to have a good toy. That's all. That's all. We did Swerve. They did acknowledge Swerve does nothing in the cartoon, but popular in the comic books. That's why Swerve gets toys. This one is like, I love how many retools that there are to this figure to try to get it to be more screen accurate. He's got the wheels on the shoulders that are fake because it's still the gears mold, meaning 2 of the tires are in the chest, the other 2 are behind the legs. Great hiding places for both. And yeah, it still looks pretty good. I still really, really like this one. Yeah, nothing terribly surprising. Mark did mention that cartoon accurate, he would have been solid white, where they went with gray instead. So there is potential down the line. He's kind of thinking about re-releasing this with a different paint job, so it's more cartoon accurate. Get rid of the silver plastic. I like the silver plastic personally. Yeah, it's not really like strictly show accurate, but I like breaking up the white without deviating from it too far. I think it's a good aesthetic choice, even if it sacrifices a little bit of accuracy. Something I have noticed in all of these deluxe reveals, like the next wave of Transformer figures is almost, deluxe-wise, is almost all red and white. We used to come from an era where Hasbro was scared to do waves that had any figures with similar colors. A lot of first 2 wave Beast Wars got swapped around and messed with because they didn't want to make too many brown, orange, yellow, that kind of color area. And now we just have an entire wave that's just devoted to white and red bots. That is hysterical to me. But however it worked out, I'm glad it worked out. It's a lot of really good toys. A lot of good deluxes on the way. Now we get into, I think, the biggest thing about this entire rundown. So they talked about Nexus Prime. Want to keep in mind, they did not officially reveal Nexus. The images kind of leaked out a little bit early, and then they had to play damage control by like Mark had to like very quickly throw his torso mode out on Instagram to just go, hey, look, it does a thing. It does a thing, guys. It's not just a generic looking bot that has no combination aspect to him. So I did take a few notes on this one because they did have a lot to say. Personally, I think they are still playing damage control to try to make this as justified and sound as good as possible. So the reason why the box does not show any kind of depiction of his combined mode is because there is a rule at Hasbro that says anything from a different year cannot be displayed on the box. Which is interesting to me because we know that one of the leaked names in the computers is Jetfire, Armada Jetfire specifically. They will absolutely have to mention Armada Prime on his box somewhere in order to sell that toy at a adjusted commander price of like probably 100, 110 bucks. So I'm not quite sure if that rule is going to be held that strict or potentially that just kind of cues that we're going to get some kind of reissue this year of the Armada Optimus, which would be ideal with the new Jetfire on the way, just in case people missed out on one, on the previous one, because I know that was a really popular toy. A lot of people have elevated that price on the aftermarket. But cool to see like there's some reason behind it. I think it's because it's a 2027 thing when they will actually be able to take advantage of it. So they did play with the idea of giving him an entire combiner team right off the bat. Originally, he started off as a leader class toy, which is why he's so big in the Hall of Primes artwork. When they didn't have the space to make him a leader class toy, they started playing with the idea of making him a Duocon, and that didn't work out. So they were trying really hard to come up with some combiner aspect for him. However, it did not play out, unfortunately. So he ended up in the Voyager class because that's where they had space to release another figure. So they came up with a torso mode instead. They did confirm that 2027, we are going to be seeing his own frame and his own limbs. So get ready for like repaints and retools of the appropriate aerial bots and Combaticons to actually make him. I don't like the solution because it basically erases Heatwave. right? So like now Heatwave is inconsequential. He is no longer like any kind of factor to this toy whatsoever, to this team whatsoever. I'm hoping whatever combiner frame he comes with like completes his combiner mode chest, because right now it looks really broken up and hollow, and it has at least the shape of Heatwave to it. I hope it comes as close as it can. So that's a lot of what they did. That's a lot of the explanations that they did for, like, apparently Nexus had a tumultuous design period. So it's how it goes. And that's how you end up with, you know, a box for a vehicle mode. One thing they did show off is that, you know, here's like just standard, this is how he looks out of the box kind of Nexus Prime. But they also show a different configuration where the wings on the back can become parts of his guns. The guns which were also not really shown off very well in the original photos. So he has a little bit more accessory play going than what I originally anticipated. That's good to see. Gives him a little bit more something. Makes the toy feel a little bit more robust. But it's still a bit of a struggle, still a bit of a hard sell. I think a lot of people are going to be waiting for 2027 to see what this toy is going to do with its own team. And a lot of people are going to be buying it on the aftermarket. My suggestion would be, if you are not into this toy, but you're still curious about what they're going to do, wait till later in this year. This toy will hit clearance. This toy will hit bargain stores. And saving that, it'll probably be cheap on the aftermarket until they actually announce the combiner parts, the extra limbs and the chest, the shell that he'll go into. Once all of that is revealed, the aftermarket's going to go back up. So you have a window of getting this guy cheap if you don't want to pay the 43 bucks, and I understand why, but that would be my advice to you. They did show one other trick it could do, though. Apparently it can also combine with the combiner frame for Superion in vehicle mode as well. That's an easy little thing to throw in. I'm glad they threw it in. Again, gives them a little bit more play value. If you've already got Silverbolt, then yeah, there's actually some play value to be had out of this. And that leaves us with Lege Maximo, which is technically the final Prime, but they kept mentioning one to go. I think the one to go is just the rerun of Vector Prime in the Age of the Primes packaging. I think that is why we didn't get like a name change from year 1 to year 2 or any kind of packaging alterations. I think they wanted all 13 primes to be in completely matched boxes for the minted box collectors out there. Meaning we're going to get a Vector Prime in the last wave. They did announce there's only one wave of Age of the Primes after this. So that's what the final Prime is. It's a rerun of Vector. Now, whether they retool it to be a little bit more accurate to the original or throw in some extra accessories or paint, we don't know. But that's really the only one left that has been released in Age of the Primes. So it's kind of like a preview in Legacy United. But they did explain how they really wanted to go like really creepy alien organic with this overall design. They did confirm like the spaceship is supposed to be like a big alien warship. So you imagine it a much larger scale than the space vehicles we normally get. If you want to see the backside of the toy, there you go. Because it would do all turn around. I think that one was important to see just like what the parts are. And they did explain a few things about like the design nature of the toy. So we'll get to that here in a bit. There's a better shot for it. First off, there's the spaceship mode again. I think it looks like a flying avocado, but not in a bad way. Not in a bad way. Like, weirdly enough, I kind of like this aesthetic. Weirdly enough, this actually looks pretty cool to me. They did show that big horn backpack and jetpack can come off. This is for a couple reasons. Number one, it does let you use it as a handheld accessory if you really want to. The most important thing to it is that they wanted to be able to recreate the shot from the final page of the G2 comic book, the original appearance of Liege Maximo. So in order to accomplish that, they had to make the backpack removable so he can sit in the Starscream throne. And for added measure, that can actually plug onto the back of the throne itself. That way you also get like the Unicron horn visual kind of thing. And and that way everything stays together as well. So that's actually a really cool attention to detail. That's a really cool thing. And to that end, they also incorporated a fold-out cannon for his left hand, because apparently, I've completely forgotten this because it's been a while since I looked at the actual image of Lege Maximo from that comic, but they did show off a forearm cannon, because apparently he's got a forearm. Oh yeah, he does. I'm really quickly looking at it now. Yeah, it's a big smoking forearm cannon. Oh yeah. All right. Good attention to detail on Hasbro. I give you credit for that one. So yeah, that was thrown in. That's a cool little bonus. I like that. Really well thought out. And that brings you to the Liege darts, which is the final accessory that we are aware of. They are still hinting that there is going to be something you can do with all 13 weapons once you have all 13 primes. But considering they haven't shown it in any way, shape, or form, I'm a little bit concerned. I don't know if that's something that's like Nexus is going to be involved with, because apparently, like, we're not done with Age of the Primes. Apparently next year we're going to get all the stuff to make Nexus what he's supposed to be. So they might be holding off like whatever the weapons and accessories do until then. Or it might be thrown in with the new 13th Prime, the Vector Prime toy that's coming out. I don't know. I keep referring to it as like the 13th Prime. For all we know, like the Star Optimus figure is going to be like scaled down and released as a Voyager class or something, which I would also accept. We know there is a reissue of Vector Prime on the way, but it would be cool if we were like, you know what? Maybe it's weird to have one Titan-sized Prime when like the biggest ones physically are supposed to be Liege Maximo and Megatronus. So maybe a downsized Optimus would be fine. But for now, they're teasing one more Prime. They're being coy. They're not just saying, hey, it's Vector again. But yeah, that's basically the run of it. That's your fan stream. Not a lot that we didn't already know, because a lot of it has leaked. But the behind the scenes stuff I think is worth it. I didn't do the notes to show like what designers worked on what. So like there's also that aspect as well if you want to learn that. But yeah, straight from the horse's mouth. Those are the upcoming toys. Those are the ones available for pre-order right now, which of course that is in the link below. If you want to go pre-order those, I appreciate it very much. And with that, I am going to call it here. So thank you very much for watching. Now that we're all educated on all the upcoming toys. And as always, I will see you next time. Hello everyone, I am Astral Agent Magnetar, a Tokusatsu VTuber, and I am streaming 4 times a week over on Twitch, Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday afternoons, and a special late night one on late Friday/early Saturday. So come watch, come hang out, and let's make an impact together.